Thanks everyone for joining us on this session. This is actually our second session on using the SDK, and we're going to be focusing today on extending Qatium's functionalities to your needs. Quickly, I'll do a small introduction of myself. So I'm Luke Butler, the Director of Innovation here at Qatium. My background is hydraulic modeling, been doing it for about 13, 14 years now. But I also have a bit of a software development background as well, doing a bit of coding. But luckily, I have Alex with me, who is a much stronger programmer than me, who actually running through the demos. And I'll quickly hand it across to Alex so he can do a quick intro for himself as well.
Sure. Thank you all for coming today. So I'm Alex Torres. I work on the SDK in Qatium as a product engineer. And yeah, today we will have a session where we will show you how to do a plugin. So
great. Thank you so much. Okay, so first, I assume most of you have seen Qatium. If not, our mission itself is to make digital water management available to all utilities, big and small. So how are we actually doing that? Well, we're helping utilities or those who work with utilities, build digital twins of their water networks and be able to use it in a digital environment, a safe environment to make better operational decisions. Really streamline those daily operations and plan what they're doing. Maybe I think at this point, it might be also a good time to throw up a little bit of a poll because we're going to start talking about the SDK and programming. Okay, I think we've put that up there now. So while I'm talking away, there's a little poll that's popped up. If you can start filling in some answers there so we know what your comfort level with programming is. I will also say this is the second of a series on using our SDK. So we have the Qatium community Slack that you can join. In there, you can talk directly to our developers who are building the apps, and we can help you along. You also get access to some of the older webinars and recordings that we do. So there's a webinar we did a little while ago on how to build your first plugin. So if any of this, you want to get some more details around why the plugins work and how to build them, definitely watch that one as well. So building on Qatium, there's 3 ways that we see it. We can either build, extend, or integrate. So maybe it's like building a new plugin, a new functionality within it. So in this example, like adding ways to view the age of water in the system. You can extend existing features where you can change the color of pipes to meet your system needs, which may be a little bit of a hint to where we're going today. Or you could integrate new data, right? So you can bring in like your own custom live information. You can display that on top. It could be sensor data. It could be locations of personnel or births. And then there's also 2 ways you can also send that data to external services as well. I'm going to recommend you check out our devs tools page at qatium.com. Here you'll find links to the community, our API, but also our SDK documentation. So we'll see, how to use the SDK, how to write your first plugin, and all these methods that we're running through, you'll also see documented there as well. And with that, I think I can hand across to Alex, who will actually talk you a little bit about what we're building and a little small refresh on how plugins works. So here you go, Alex.
Okay, thank you very much. So here we have like a small video of what we're going to build today. As you can see, basically it's a plugin that shows the pressures on the network in a nice view. And yeah, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so Luke already mentioned it, but as a refresher, we had the first session where we went in deep with these topics. But I want to quickly go through, so we all know the basics here. So plugins, how are they structured, right? So basically, when we write a plugin in Qatium, we have 2 main components. We have the UI of the panel where we can show like the data or some calculations we do, and then we have like the plugin itself, what we call the plugin engine, where all the business logic and SDK call happen. These both communicate, using some APIs that you have available in the SDK and in the plugin interface. So it's quite easy to do so. And now we are going to have like some coding session using this as starter. Let me share my screen. Okay. I hope you all can see it properly. So for this plugin, we're going to start with some boilerplate code so we can make it a bit faster. Which is this for a second. Okay, so basically we have a small UI here. We have like 3 inputs and we have some boilerplate code. Let me run this plugin just now. Okay, I'm gonna do npm run dev, and the plugin now it's started on the port, and I'm gonna refresh the site. We're gonna click now here on the user face. I have enabled the dev mode, so my plugin is running, and I have it here on the sidebar, and now I can open it. So basically here what we have is just like a small UI that allows us to pick some colors on this input and set some thresholds. So basically what this plugin is gonna do, now it's doing nothing of course, but what it's gonna do is based on these thresholds and these colors, it's going to represent on the map so all the jar items that we have in those colors. So the good thing about this is that we can extend Qatium functionalities on the map to display our own needs. So to show like our own thresholds, our own colors, like whatever we want. Okay, so let's move on. As I mentioned here, we have like a small HTML with the inputs, doing nothing really fancy. And then we are loading this file here, main.ts, where we have some boilerplate code. Okay, so basically, I don't want to go deep on this because it's really not needed for the session, but basically what this is doing is taking the inputs for the colors and the text inputs and just adding some event listeners for handling those events. Let me show how this works. So we have here 2 event handlers, notify color change and notify threshold change. And those are like accepting a threshold, that is just the key for thresholds, and the value. In one case, we are accepting the color, and in the other one, we're accepting the number, that is our threshold number. Let me quickly do a console log here to showcase this. Color change, threshold, color. And I'm going to do the same for the threshold value. Okay, I'm gonna save now. And here on the left side, it has reloaded the plugin. So now if I change something, I can see here on the console the value. Okay, same for the value of the thresholds. So I can do this, and then I get this one. Okay, so far so good. So we have the input reacting to the changes, but it's really doing nothing so far, no? Because we are not connecting this with our business case or business logic in the plugin. So let's move on and do that. So how can we actually send these events to our plugin core? So we have an API in the SDK called 𝗤𝗶𝗂𝗺𝗁𝗍 that I'm gonna import now. Okay. I'm going to import it from Qatium SDK UI, and this will allow us to send messages to our plugin core. This accepts just like the object that we want to send. It's nothing really defined, but we are we defined it as some types from before, so we have it here prepared, and we have these 2 types. Okay, so we have the color change message and the threshold value change message. We're going to use this in order to send those messages to the engine. Let's do that. It accepts a generic. I'm going to import these types. From here, let's see, color change message and the threshold value change message. In this case, we're using this one, and then we have everything typed. So we do color change, and then on the payload, we're going to send this value, color, and the threshold. And I'm going to do the same for the threshold change. But instead of using the message, I'm going to use the message for the type for the threshold value change message. Okay. Payload, and we send our payload here. Threshold and the value. Great. Okay. So now if I save this we can still see that we are like printing the console log, but it's doing nothing else so far. Okay, so let me move now to the second part or the second component on our plugins. That is the actual plugin itself, where the business logic is. So this file here, will contain our business logic. Here we can access the SDK, all the methods. So let's move on. In this plugin interface that we have here, we have a class method called onMessage that we can use to receive messages from the panel. This accepts a message type that we can import from types again. Let me do that for you. Types. Let's import this message here. Okay, and then we can call this. So just for testing purposes, let's do a console log and see what happens here. Okay, let me refresh now the site. Okay, let's see. Now I can change this color here, and I get the console log that we were getting on the main TS, this one here, and also we are getting a new console log on the plugin code that has our message. So we have the event and the payload. Okay, let me remove some console logs so we don't get all this noise in the console. Okay. So what can we do from here, right? So here in the plugin, let me explain a bit what is going on. So we have two class variables, so threshold and colors, that basically are referenced as the initial values, okay? And whenever we change a color here or a value, we need to sync those values, so everything works as expected. So let's move on and let's do that first of all. And for doing so, getting here to it, so if message event is equal to color change, then we will do these colors. Then we will take the key from the event, payload, this one here, threshold, and we are transferring message, payload, color. And the same for the other message. Event equals to threshold color change, with the same. So we keep those in sync. So now we have like these values in sync, and then whenever I do a change, I can log those colors and these thresholds. Let's see what happens now. Okay, in this, and I'm gonna change this to 30, for instance. Okay, so now we have here both of objects. So now we see like the low is 30, and the color is the one that we was doing before because we didn't change it, but if we change it to another one, you can see now it changed to another color. Great. So now we are moving on, and we want to do something with these thresholds and this color, right? We want to paint something on the map, right? What we're going to paint here is a halo around the junctions. Let me show you again how this looks like. I don't know if I can, maybe this bigger. So we want to achieve something like this, right? We have the map, and we want to have like some halos around the junctions to understand what is going on there quickly. So luckily, we have a SDK API called _styles that allows us to set the styles of an asset in the map. Okay, so we can change some of the styles. You can see here an example for instance, and the API is something similar to this. So we call this SDK map _styles, and then we pass an object with the keys being the IDs of the assets, and then the object inside is just the style sheet that we are providing, the API we have. So let's try out this. Okay, so we can go, for instance, to this tank here called 𝗲𝗲𝗂𝗶𝘂𝗺, and let me call this render function whenever something changes. So we are triggering a render, and yes, this map _styles, and it's of time. And then let's do something like, okay, outline, opacity, 1, shadow color let's see, red, and shadow visible, true. Save, and reload the page. Okay, you may notice now that here on the plugin we have this toggle. So this is automatically added to the plugin whenever we identify that you are like trying to add something to the map. Let's say you are doing some styles and doing some highlights, or even adding like an overlay or something. We will add this toggle here. And basically what this does is just enabling or disabling the styles on the map. Now you can see here that we added this color to our tank and we have it nicely here on red. But this is not what we want, right? So what we want is adding these styles to our junctions. So let's move on with that one. So first of all, what we want to do is get our junctions. We can use the SDK network get junctions function. And this will provide us with all the junctions in the network. Just an array of junctions. We can pass a filter, but we don't want a filter right now. So we will have all the junctions. Okay, so next we do is create an array or like an object like this one for all the junctions and their elements. Okay, like their colors, their styles. So for doing that, I'm gonna create an empty object called styles, and I'm gonna use a type from the SDK called styles, which will give us like some auto completion on this one. So I can do like, for instance, blah, blah, blah. And then I have here like all the completion done. But for now, we'll keep it empty because we don't need any of this. And then now we are going to iterate over the junctions array using the for each method. This will give us every junction on the array. And we can now start working on this one. So, what we need from the junctions, we need to create a style, no? So let's first of all add this junction ID, and we are assigning this to the styles object. And just for the sake of making it really easy now, I'm gonna copy this object here, and I'm gonna find all the junctions in red, just to see how it looks like. So let me remove this object from here. And now I can pass these styles to my call, the other styles. Let's see how this looks like now. Okay, turning on this, and you can see now, hopefully. Okay, let me refresh. No. Okay, let me zoom. And there we go. We have all the junctions in red. Okay, so this is quite nice. And as you can see here, we got all the junctions in red, but only when I zoom in. And this is something really useful from the styles API. You don't need to manage the zoom level on the map or something like that. So basically you tell the Qatium API, okay, just add these styles to the junction, and then whenever they are visible, it will be added. For instance, if we will use like something like the add overlay or any other method, then you need to manage all of this, which is a bit more complex. So just for the sake of simplicity, this API is quite useful for this one. So now we got all the junctions in red, which is something like, okay, we really don't know. We really don't want. So let's move on and let's actually add the color that we want here on the shadow color. So for doing this, what we need is, depending on the pressure of the junction, we want to paint one of the colors in the colors object that we have here. So let's create a method now in the class. Call it get color from pressure that will accept pressure. This is a number, and it will give us a string. Okay, so let's do this. So this is just like a really dummy method that will just read the pressure, and then depending on the value here, we will check which are our thresholds, and then we'll give the color. Okay, so in this case, if the pressure is lower than the lower, then we will return the lower color. Okay, then we can complete this. If smaller than the thresholds, medium, we will return the colors, medium, and the same for, well, let's do an else here, because like something bigger than this, we'll return just the high color. Okay, so now I will be able to do this theoretically, get color and pressures. And I can do like junction, simulation, pressure. Okay, so here we're getting an error. Why is that? Because sometimes the simulation is not ready yet, and we don't have the pressure still, or any of the keys on the simulation. So first of all, we need to check that the simulation is ready for the junction, and then once it's ready, we can then send it. So let's store it here on our variable. Go like junction, simulation, pressure, and let's check if this is undefined. And if this is undefined, we will just ignore it. We won't add it to the map. And here we can just simply add the pressure value. I can then save now, and let's see if this worked out as expected. We refresh again. Let me turn on the layer. Okay, let me do some form here. Nice. Okay, so we have here like all colors in the map. As you can see, this one is the green one, so this is like it has like a high pressure, and now I can just run through this and change the color, and then see that the color is changing on the junction. So this is quite useful. Okay. And maybe you may ask, okay, if I zoom out, I don't see anything. This is not really like helping me because it's just like focusing on one area. And we can use for this one another API here on the styles that is just telling to the map to always show the element. And this using this API, like this element visible, true, and then it will always show. But again, this is maybe not the best thing to do, because at the end we're like jumping over the Qatiums, like the hierarchy of the things displayed on the map. And now we can see everything, but it's a bit cluttered. So just for the purpose of showing you the API, but maybe it's not the best case for displaying. And now here we can see again like all the junctions in colors with our values, and we can just play around. Okay, let's see, instead of 50, we want to say that this equals to 70, or even change the color of this one to something like more reddish. We can do that. Okay. And basically that's all for today for the plugin. And I think I will leave back to Yara. Look.
Perfect. I think one of the things that we might also want to show is, I know we showed the simple case of the highlight, but I wonder, let's see if you've got some of the overlays to show as well. There's obviously you can just highlight little pictures, but we have the ability to the visualization that we're using is DeckGL. You can use any type of overlay from that. And I believe we have an example plugin that like lets you try and see all the different types of overlays. It's very powerful. You can do like heat maps, like 3D visualizations, arcs, as well, to actually look at all those different options. So, yes, here's the overlay example. So if you want to see the different ways you can visualize, this is a really helpful tool. And then it will like list those different visualizations that you can have, right? So mesh layers, heat maps, that type of thing. So yeah, it can get quite powerful. And I would also add that all the functionality that you see in Qatium, like shutdowns, tank autonomy, the model deviations, these are all plugins that we've built on top of Qatium. So we're using the same framework. So all the functionality you're seeing, you can make something just as powerful. Yeah. Okay, so maybe we can, Yara, jump into some questions in Q&A.
Yeah, we have one right here that I just popped up on screen.
What's the process like for sharing the front end of the model with an end user who is interested in seeing scenarios and interacting with the UI, but does not want or need code editing permissions? That's a really good question. So, what we're showing a lot is the developer experience. So, where you're building the app, but we don't expect the end users to need to load up code or run these development by themselves. We're actually built a marketplace to allow users to publish their plugins and share them with others. So if you go to the Qatium website, and I have to double check with Yara and Alistair who are on the call if we can actually show this now, but there's a whole marketplace where you'll be able to actually submit your plugins, get them approved and put on the marketplace that other people will be able to use them within Qatium. So yeah, no coding experience required at that part.
Brilliant. Anyone else has any questions, please pop them in the Q&A section at the bottom, and then you can pop them up on the screen. There's one here as well.
Okay. Alex, do you want to get that one about connecting to external services like an API?
Sure, this is definitely possible, and I think it's going to be like still for webinars. So one of the powerful things to do with plugins is to integrate it with your own services. So imagine you have like an API that collects weather, for instance, so give you the weather of an area, or maybe like, I don't know, like your orders, something like that, and you need to show it in the work orders and to show it in the map. Then you can do it. So you can use the plugins engine to actually build that.
And there's another question as well. So you go.
Okay, perfect. About doing bulk simulations. So I guess I guess in this stage we're only styling the actual application itself. But maybe Alex, if you want to grab this in the toolbar, like, can you modify the network? Like, as in, like, make it rerun simulations? And is there any option to do multiple simulations, or what's our options here?
Yes, actually now what we're showing is like displaying the stuff in the map, like these halos or maybe like layers or something. But SDK is also powerful to modify something on the map. We are still working a lot on this, but you can, for instance, close a valve or set the demand of a junction, doing things like this. You can create your own scenario from the plugin. Also, as Luke already mentioned, all the plugins that are visible in Qatium you can use as today, they are built using the same technologies. So, for instance, flushing, shutdown, these kind of things, like the mass pipe, you can build them with the plugins as of today.
Yes, you certainly have lots of options, and I would say I'll check, but I imagine we'll be able to share this code that we've done here as a little example. I think we want to create a little. I think from the developer side, there's also let me load this up here. There is also some guides here on how to run. Just setting up your first plugin, like I mentioned. And then there are also templates as well to help you get going. And I believe we're going to be setting up in GitHub some examples of pre-built plugins that you can follow along and modify, because we know it's much easier when you've got something to work with to edit. And one of those examples is I also created a little plugin around pressure management. So like it would find your PRBs and let you change settings and trace downstream and show that. So if you want to see something a little bit more complex, like that actually is doing similar things, right? Like being able to actually run through and do more complex options. Like there's also some good examples here that you can play with as well. Well, actually, we mentioned, I'll show you a couple of things on our main website too that may be useful for people. so you can find everything. So we've actually just launched the new website. So there are a couple of things I wanted to point out. So from our website, under resources, you have dev tools. So from dev tools, you'll find the links to our SDK, so the API. So the SDK is what we're using to build. The API is used to send data like live information to Qatium, and then the dev community. So that's that Slack area that you can get all webinars, and then also interact with the developers themselves, right? So this is a nice spot. And the other thing that we just launched last week as well is the marketplace itself. So the marketplace, the way it works is that you can explore different plugins. So we've released a set of different plugins. Some of these are already in with people's subscriptions, but you can see here, and you can even actually go in and like purchase them, or if they're free or paid, right? So you can get that and add them to your account. And then there is also an option, if you scroll right down to the bottom here, the innovate with us, right? So you can build your plugin, you can submit it for approval, and then it's actually placed in the marketplace as well. So there's an option to actually submit them here too. So yeah, we there's so many things you can do with our platform. We don't think we can do them all. We can't meet everybody's needs. Sometimes people want to do things differently. So we think this SDK is going to be a great way to collaborate and innovate with the community all together. Any last questions, Yara? Or we think we've covered it?
I think we're good. If you guys do have any additional questions, obviously feel free to join our community. Like as Luke said, our developers are always active in there. I'm always active in there. So, whatever you need or whatever questions you have, if you check out the new website, you have questions about the marketplace, which is brand new. We just launched it. Feel free to ask or even comment any feedback or anything that you have. So I think we're going to wrap it up for today. Thanks so much for joining us. We do have one of these community webinars every single month. You might have been on the last webinar with Luke and one of our other SDK specialists, Cesar, where they went through the build feature of the SDK. That's in our webinar recordings if you want to watch that back. This one will be dropped in about a week as well. And then in a couple of months, we will also have the last section, integrate. How can you integrate with our SDK? So stay tuned for that. We also have one monthly webinar where our Director of Customer Success goes to a different Qatium use case each time. That one's coming up. Another one's coming up in a couple of weeks as well. So stay tuned for that. Obviously, the easiest way to stay tuned is just by joining our community. Super easy. If you just go to the website and you click on the DevTools section that Luke just showed you, or you just go to qatium.com/community, you can join the Slack community directly from there. We're always happy to have you in there. And of course, you can network with other like-minded individuals, which is always great. So thanks so much for joining again. Any further questions, comments, feedback, please do drop it in our community, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, Luke and Alex, for another amazing session.